Hello, guys. Just been watching yesterday the interview between BBC, the presenter of BBC, Stevens Sackur, and the Prime Minister of Armenia. Really, I was fascinated with the fairness of Steve Sackur. He was very fair, and he was determined and very precise in a dialogue that really exposed this Armenian Prime Minister. And I think if he has any idea about the topic of this interview, he would have never been accepting to come to a scandal. In fact, he was coming to a scandal. That this man, Stevens, who I believe that he is very fair and just person, Stevens had really surrounded him from all angles. All angles. He surrounded him. And he could not give any answer at all. And I've seen one interview between him and those, maybe the drawers of Charlie Hebdo, or the filmmakers against the Prophet ﷺ. And the man was so fair and just, and he said to them, "Do you dare to make such movie or drawing against the Prophet of the Jews?" And it took a long time, and they were dancing around the point. They didn't want to give any answer. And this is true. I mean, these campaigns they make against the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and even sometimes against Jesus, but since the whole government, the global government, are backed behind doors, behind the curtains by Jewish fingers, yes, no one can make anything against the Jews. No one. So anyway, this man was so fair and just with this Armenian Prime Minister. And he said to him, "Look, the United Nations adopted an issue that Armenia should be withdrawing from Nagorno-Karabakh, and it's an Azerbaijan land." And the man could not give any answer. Oh, he said that since thousands of years it used to be an Armenian land. So Stevens interrupted him and said, "Look, since thousands of years there are many things, many occupied lands. This is not the issue. The issue is that now the United Nations is saying you have to withdraw from Azerbaijan land." He could not give any answer. What I'm really upset with, that some Iranian people, they are supporting Armenia, and they're on the side of Armenia, which is very shameful. I mean, even Iran had to change its position and attitude, which is supportive to Armenia, but for a reason or another, Iran was ashamed to take publicly this status. And they demanded Armenia to give up the war and to give the land to the Azerbaijanis. Even Iran. I mean, we still have Arabic Zionist people. They speak Arabic, but they're Zionists. And they are more Zionists than the Zionists of Israel. But they have a reason. Their reason is, anyone can support us against Turkey, we're going to be with him. Whether he carry a cross or he carry anything else, okay? Any enemy to Turkey is our beloved friend. France today plotted in Libya, and it failed. Plotted in Cyprus, and it failed. Plotted in Greece, and it failed. And now it's plotting in Armenia. And Armenia is crying, yelling with a strong voice to Europe, "Look, if you don't be at our side today, the Ottomani Empire will occupy Vienna tomorrow. This is a very mean, cultist, sectarian such scream. It's very filthy. They want anything to justify for them the occupation of the Azerbaijani land. And they have nothing to do but to call them and to make some crusade kind of shoutings and yellings in order to be backed by the Europeans. But the Europeans are also in trouble because of the United Nations resolution, which is against Armenia. So they're hesitant, they're ashamed to take an action for favor of Armenia. Yeah, at the same time, they were inciting Russia to take an action for their favor, but also it failed. The treaty between Russia and Armenia, it is confined to the limits of Armenia. It's inside. But this Nagorno-Karabakh is not an Armenian land officially. It belongs to Azerbaijan. Plus, Russia is aware about the double standard Armenian policy, which is going away more distant from Russia and getting closer to Europe. So as if Russia is punishing Armenia for its double standard. So they also failed in inciting Russia against. So the whole situation is bad against Armenia. And now it's losing the war. It is losing the war. And the world is witnessing a great determination, Turkish determination. And the Turkish are not opposing the global international law. They're not going against it. The West know that Turkey is not doing anything, okay, illegal. But they can't do anything. The only thing they do, saying to Turkey, stop your provocative actions. That's all, period. What are they provocative? Arming Azerbaijan? Well, is it right to the West to support other countries militarily? Isn't it allowed? Yes, it is allowed. So why Turkey is not allowed exporting weapons to Azerbaijan? Why? Why it's not allowed? See? And they give weapons, or they give weapon equipments like these importing camera drone equipments. They give these things with conditions, as if they say, we're giving you some militant equipments, but you should not be using them. This is our condition. Buy them, but don't use them. Oh, come on. Oh, please. They can't say that searching for oil is illegal on Turkey, but they can say, don't provoke, that's all. This is a great fanaticism, and had not been accepted by Canada to do that. But anyway, Turkey managed itself, and they started to manufacture it, which is a good thing. It's time for us to apply this ayah, وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ, and prepare for them the utmost you can of a power. تُرْهِبُونَ بِهِ, you scare by your preparation the enemy of Allah and your own enemy. Where the money goes today? Football and other stuff. And the Muslims are weak. They're spending trillions of money. But Turkey is improving. And politically, I am on the side of Turkey. I am very supportive to the Turkish policy. Turkey is causing those people to become really crazy and angry. I didn't see any other Muslim country doing this. So as long as this happens, especially against friends, and Greece. Greece, it wishes to wage a war against Turkey, but it's at the edge of economical devastation. Economically, it's depending on the European power. Nevertheless, it's falling, it's collapsing. So any war takes place with Turkey, it's going to be extremely dangerous and devastating against Greece. They can't do that. Okay? So it seems to me that if a person really determines to support this deen, Allah will help and support. The coup against Turkey failed. The plot in Libya failed. In Cyprus, failed. In Greece, failed. In Armenia, failed. But Macron the con said that Islam is in crisis. But God Almighty revealed, inspired to Macron, pay 10 million euros. Pay 10 million euros, okay, to release a French woman that had been captured in Mali by the terrorists. By the terrorists. So he made a big campaign, and he was waiting on the airport for this woman to come and to tell people about those terrorist people, what they have done to them. So when her airplane landed, a private airplane, especially for the woman, well, the campaign against Islam worthless. So the airplane landed, and the woman said to them, I converted to Islam. Don't call me Sufi. I converted to Islam. And I'm no more Sufi. I am Maryam. And guess what? The terrorists taught me Islam. You can't say I'm terrorist after converting to Islam. Okay? I'm bringing to you Islam from those who hijacked me. This is a divine plot against Macron the con. Sorry to say the con, because he said to speak ill against even the Prophet is a matter of freedom and democracy. Was Macron happy? No. He was about to give a statement, but he cancelled the statement and left the airport immediately because God was preparing him for a surprise. Allahu Akbar. See, Allah does what He will. Allah does what He will. So Macron didn't know that he was waiting for this disappointing, shocking kind of news. He was making a campaign to hear the news that all French people heard about. It was broadcasted to everybody that I became Muslim. I came back from Mali, from the terrorists. But they taught me Islam. I'm Muslim, I'm happy. It's just like Silvia Romano. She came, they paid also money, they made deals to release her. Then she came, and she said, I am Maryam, I'm not Silvia Romano anymore. Yvonne Redley, she was captured by the Taliban in Afghanistan. A BBC reporter. She came back with the hijab. I converted to Islam. What is the matter with those people? This is something beautiful, because those people, they go and they see how the Muslims are happy, how the morals of the Muslims are very high. They may be extremists in something, they may be having some ignorance, but they're living with Islam. They're happy. And there are many other reporters that converted to Islam. They could not resist that great sentiments and feeling that this is the religion of God. Then suddenly they decided to become Muslims, and they're happy. This French woman is so happy with Islam. Silvia Romano is so happy with Islam. Yvonne Redley is so happy with Islam. And Yvonne Redley, she became a Muslim reporter, not for BBC, But for Islami see, not for BBC. It is Allah's work. How much Macron paid to make a campaign against Islam? Well, that reminds me of what Allah the Almighty says. This is beautiful, a beautiful ayah from the Quran. Allahu Akbar. قُلْ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَتُغْلَبُونَ وَتُحْشَرُونَ إِلَى جَهَنَّمَ وَبِئْسَ الْمِهَادُ. O Muhammad, tell the disbelievers, you will be defeated and you'll be gathered in hellfire. And also in another beautiful verse, the disbelievers are spending their money to block people from the way of Allah. So they will spend it. And then it will be for them a source of regret. And then they will be overcome. And those who have disbelieved, unto hell will they be gathered. Allahu Akbar. So beautiful. Very powerful ayah. This cannot be suggested by a human being. No way. Indeed, those who disbelieve, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, those who disbelieve, يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُم, they're spending their money لِيَصُدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, to block others from the way of Allah. فَسَيُنْفِقُونَها, so they will surely be spending it. ثُمَّ تَكُونُ عَلَيْهِمْ حَسْرَةً, then it will be a sort of regret on them. ثُمَّ يُغْلَبُونَ, then they will be defeated. They'll spend it. Then it will be a regret for them. Then they will be defeated. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِلَى جَهَنَّمَ يُحْشَرُونَ, and the disbelievers to the hellfire they will be gathered. Why, oh God? Let's see the next verse. Oh God, why? What is the reason? Subhanallah. How great is Allah. ليميز الله الخبيث من الطيب ويجعل الخبيث بعده على بعض فيركمه جميعا فيجعله في جهنم أولئك هم الخاسرون. This is so that Allah may distinguish the wicked from the good and place the wicked, some of them, upon others and heap them all together and put them into hell. It is those who are the losers. Strong ayat, challenging verses. And you say the Quran is suggested by a Bedouin Arabian? If it's so, then why those people are becoming Muslims and they're happy with their Islam? They're not happy with the lifestyle, with the Western stereotype. In America, this year, they counted 500 American soldiers committing suicide. They're not happy. And I heard a report that this number is just like death of American soldiers in a war. It's even worse. I mean, how many people died in the war in Iraq in 1 year? Thousands? But nevertheless, Allah said in the next ayah, قُلْ لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِن يَنْتَهُوا يُغْفَرْ لَهُم مَّا قَدْ سَلَفَ وَإِن يَعُودُوا فَقَدْ مَضَتْ سُنَّةُ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ حَتَّى لَا تَكُونَ فِتْنَةٌ وَيَكُونَ الدِّينُ كُلُّهُ لِلَّهِ فَإِنِ انتهوا فإن الله بما يعملون بصير وإن تولوا فاعلموا أن الله مولاكم نعم المولى ونعم النصير. Beautiful ayat. Tell the disbelievers, if they stop fighting, what had previously occurred will be forgiven for them. Allahu Akbar. See, this is Islam. Tell the disbelievers who are fighting you, if they stop fighting you, they will be forgiven what had previously been done by them. But if they return, then the precedent of the former rebellious people has already taken place. That means you do it, then the law of Allah will be returning against you and you'll be defeated. Then Allah said, so fight them until there is no fitna. Fitna means tribulation that causes the death and war. So they will not be fitna. And until the religion of Allah will be dominant. And if they cease, then indeed Allah is seeing of what they do. But if they turned away, then know well that Allah is your protector, excellent as protector, and excellent as a helper. That reminds me, 2 incidents. I'll breathe them to you quickly. One of them, Osama bin Zayd, was in the war, and he cornered a person. And that person was really fighting against Islam. He caused many deaths and casualties. Then Osama bin Zayd cornered him. As he was cornering him, the man shouted, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. He shouted, I bear witness there's no God but Allah. Osama bin Zayd did not listen to this, and he killed him. And the news came to the Prophet about what he did. The Prophet was so angry. He said, you killed him while he was saying La ilaha illallah? He said, O Prophet, he killed a lot of the Muslims. The Prophet did not consider what he was saying, and he repeated, you killed him while he was saying La ilaha illallah. What will you be doing with La ilaha illallah when it comes to the day of judgment? You know what Osama bin Zayd said? I wish I became Muslim after this incident. Allahu Akbar. Another story narrated by Al-Miqdad ibn al-Aswad. He said, O Prophet, do you see if I'm fighting a man, and as I was fighting with him, he cut off my hand from my arm. And then I cornered him. Then he shouted, La ilaha illallah. Shall I kill him? The Prophet said, no. He said, I'm saying, O Prophet, he cut off my hand. He said, don't kill him. He said, if you killed him, you will be at his status after you killed him. And he'll be just like your status now as a Muslim if you killed him. The case is that the Prophet is saying, no, don't kill him. You know what it means? I'll portray it that way. That my hand is cut off by someone who decided to become Muslim. Then as my hand is bleeding, I'll be embracing that brother, and saying to him, congratulations for your conversion to Islam. While he caused my hand to be cut off, and I'm still bleeding. Yes, but there's a law in Islam. At that very critical moment, even he may be saying this to save himself from the trouble, to save his life. That's not your business. Because if this is real, this is between him and Allah. You can't say to him, no, you're a liar. You're intending something else. This is not allowed in Islam. Because in this moment, if you kill him, in a matter of fact, you are retaliating for yourself, not for God Almighty. That is why Islam is great. Well, I ask Allah the Almighty, by His beautiful names and attributes, that He let my death be while I'm submissive to Him. Allahu Akbar. Islam is great. I'll leave you with this interview between Stevens Sackur and this fanatic Armenian failure kind of prime minister. Enjoy it. You will be seeing that Stevens had really surrounded him from all angles. All angles. He surrounded him. And he could not give any answer at all. Take care. Goodbye.
You came to power talking about finding a path to peace with Azerbaijan, and yet in the last month we've seen new fighting, new conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh. We've seen at least 17 military personnel killed on both sides. It looks as though it's business as usual, not change. Military clash. I put it to you again that your policies do not appear to be designed to achieve peace. Why, last year in August, did you go to Stepanakert in Nagorno-Karabakh and make a speech saying Artsakh, which is what you call Nagorno-Karabakh, is Armenia, period, and then led a crowd in a chant, a nationalist chant of unification. That was clearly a provocation to Azerbaijan.
Artsakh name is aged for several thousand years.
Yeah, Prime Minister, it's not.
We are
to be honest
mutual,
with you,
we are.
It's not. We can't go through thousands of years of your history. What we can do is address the realities of today. The UN General Assembly, as you well know, hang on. The UN General Assembly has adopted a resolution which quite clearly, quote, demands the immediate, complete, unconditional withdrawal of all Armenian forces from the occupied territories of the Republic of Azerbaijan. Now that's from the UN General Assembly. Under international law, your forces are a force of occupation. You choose to go there and talk about that territory being yours. You clearly are not a peacemaker. Your government plans to build a new road from Armenia into Nagorno-Karabakh following a southern route which goes through a whole swathe of Azerbaijani territory. Now, a group of MEPs in Brussels who've looked at this plan and who specialize in Caucasus politics have described it as a violation of international law. It will symbolically entrench the illegal occupation of Nagorno-Karabakh. We very much deplore this initiative. Will you stop building that road? Prime Minister, I began this interview by saying that you came to power with a revolution with very high hopes of change and reform. But on this issue of Armenia, its nationalist position on Nagorno-Karabakh, the strategy that you are pursuing, which looks, frankly, as though it doesn't have a meaningful peace element to it, you seem just like your predecessors. You don't seem any different. Where is the evidence that on this core issue for the Armenian people, you're bringing something different to the table? You came to power after a career as a journalist, as a human rights defender, and you even spent some time in prison as a political prisoner. You care about human rights. So I wonder if to reach out to Azerbaijan and to indicate that you really are different from your predecessors, are you now prepared to say that in the past, particularly in the early 1990s and late 1980s, the Armenian forces committed some major human rights abuses, crimes of war inside Nagorno-Karabakh? Many independent observers have catalogued those crimes. Are you now prepared to acknowledge them and say sorry for them? In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, are you now prepared to say sorry for example, the European Court of Human Rights catalogue of violations of human rights on the part of the Armenian military? Will you say sorry? I just wanted to know whether you're prepared to take responsibility and apologize for those abuses and crimes committed by Armenia's forces. It's quite simple, yes or no.
It should be proved who exercises atrocities, and I think Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh and Azerbaijan are victims, and we can prove that. Anywhere, anytime.
Clearly, you're not going to say sorry, and I just wonder whether you feel that right now it's helpful for you to raise the tensions in Nagorno-Karabakh with Azerbaijan to take some of the scrutiny and pressure off your government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Because, frankly, looking at the way your government has handled it, it hasn't been a success, has it? Indeed, it has been a real failure of your government. But Prime Minister, your own people are drawing conclusions already. They see that your death rate from COVID-19 is approximately 6 times higher than neighboring Georgia, and indeed significantly higher than Azerbaijan's. If you look at the region as a whole, Armenia has suffered much more severe impacts from COVID-19, which suggests that your government failed to control it.
We are in the process of overcoming this pandemic, and as I said, it is too early to make conclusions on that, because unfortunately all over the world, the pandemic is continuing to grow.
But Prime Minister,
now Armenia is in the process of...
People judge you on your specific actions. For example, in late May, you attended a dinner, which was actually to celebrate the inauguration of the self-styled president leader of Nagorno-Karabakh. It was a dinner where you were seen amongst many people socializing, not wearing a face mask, and only a few weeks later, in early and mid-June, your country was in the midst of a terrible crisis with more than 600 cases of COVID-19 per day, and you castigated your own people, saying people simply disobey the rules on face masks, but you've done it yourself. The Republican Party, who have issued a statement saying one does not fight the coronavirus like this Prime Minister with live streams, selfie pictures and jumping around. You are, that is talking to you, you are the responsible one for a disgraceful situation, and you have made so many mistakes. You should resign. You talk of democracy in Armenia being strengthened under your administration, and I referred to your past as an independent journalist and a political prisoner. However, Human Rights Watch, in its report on your country in 2020, has concluded that investigations into past violence and excessive use of force by law enforcement remain very limited. Violence and discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity, discrimination against and segregation of people with disabilities, all of these things persist in Armenia today. There are people inside your country who fear that your agenda right now isn't so much about rooting out corruption as hitting back at some of your political enemies, in particular the decision you've taken to suspend 3 judges on the Constitutional Court who were blocking investigations into ex-President Kocharyan. That looks politically motivated. Is that what's driving you right now? Let me end, Prime Minister, with a strategic question. Armenia is in a tough neighborhood, and you basically have a strategic choice. You can continue to look to Moscow for your main partnership and alliance, or you can perhaps begin to look much more toward the European Union and NATO. The choice is yours. Which way are you going to take Armenia? Yeah, let me stop you for a second. Geopolitics involves some tough choices. If you really want to be close to the EU and NATO, you've got problems because you have a toxic relationship with Turkey right now, and you have a relationship with the United States which is troubled because you insist on maintaining trade relations with Iran when the Americans have asked you to impose sanctions upon Iran, and you have refused. So you have choices to make, and I ask you again, is your fundamental choice to stay loyal to Moscow, or are you ready to embrace a different direction?
Saying strategic partnership, that means it is for a long time. But we have good relations with Iran, and we are doing our best to keep our good relations with the United States and with Iran, and in the same time be fully devoted to our international commitments.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, Prime Minister, and I thank you very much indeed for being on Hard Talk.